Juraj Slafkovsky and Team Slovakia keep rolling with a 4-0 win over Poland as they're near the top of their group now. Slafkovsky showing off those things that we want him to do, just like cutting to the middle there. We got to talk about that. But Jesse, we also got to talk about Arber Xhekaj, who has been in trade talks as recent as this week. And finally, a note on a player that the Habs are linked to in Maxim Tsyplakov in the Russian league, and some highlights that show he might even be better than we thought. We got to get into all of that on this episode of Habs Digest. And without further ado, we're going to open up with Maxim Tsyplakov, Jesse. Now, I'm sure everyone watching this has heard about Tsyplakov and has heard the fact that on 32 Thoughts, Elliot Friedman linked the Montreal Canadiens to him. He was never drafted, but he had 31 goals and 47 points in 65 games in the KHL this year, Jesse. And I know the KHL isn't quite what it used to be, but man, is he good. And I'm going to play some highlights for you guys here to watch him. Jesse, that release that he has, it's pretty impressive. Some people speculating maybe his shooting percentage just went up higher than you'd expected. By the way, I'll put the original source for this in the description. I suggest you go check out their channel. But he got some nice little upside, nice bursts of skating. While that goal there wasn't the prettiest, Jesse, we know that he has the talent to finish. What are your thoughts now after we've had a bit of time to digest Maxim Tsyplakov and his potential fit on the Montreal Canadiens?
Good shot from what we're seeing here. Great hands as well. And he just refused an extension in the KHL recently. He is looking to make his way to the NHL this summer, right? So it's really interesting to note. I think it's definitely an intriguing prospect, Josh, but I know that young guys, like, they don't play as much in the KHL, but this was really his breakout year this year, right? Getting those 31 goals, but we saw just last year, those 10 goals, those 15 points. So we know that the young guys don't play all the time in the KHL, but I don't know, is it just me, Josh, or do you also want to see maybe like a little bit more production, maybe like at least 2 seasons of like 30 plus sort of goals? Like, he's 25, he's starting to get like a little bit older now, but I mean, it can't hurt our third line, right? You put him on our third line, see if he can maybe kind of play up from there. What are your thoughts on that?
Here's my take. If Montreal is serious about acquiring Tsyplakov, and if Tsyplakov decides that Montreal's the type of team he'd like to go to, maybe because he figures he might get a bit more opportunity there to get maybe a more lucrative contract after, then I think it can make a lot of sense simply because of his age. And again, like you said, he's 25. So if the Habs were to sign him, it would have to be to a 1-year entry-level contract. I believe that's how it works. And so if you're doing that, I feel like there's very, very low risk. You sign him to a 1-year deal. You let him prove himself in the organization. You give him solid opportunity on the third line as a depth scorer. Maybe see if he can get 10, 15 goals, maybe more. And then, hey, if you're not impressed with his production, you let him go. And if you are impressed, maybe you try and re-sign him. I feel like it's kind of a low-risk move for any team that gets him. And while, yes, I agree, maybe I'd like to see a bit more before you maybe sign a bigger deal, if you can get him on a cheap 1-year ELC, I feel like, why not,
The scoring potential is definitely there. And that's one of the things that the Montreal Canadiens need so much, as well as the size, right? So it's kind of fitting to those things. And this is a player, right? If he comes to the Montreal Canadiens, you got to feel like he has a chance here. Maybe he could move up. This is a player where he has a ceiling of maybe potentially being a second line NHL player if all things work out. So that could be very interesting for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, you never know, right? Lots of players who had good goal totals in the KHL come over and have great times in the NHL, sometimes definitely not. And again, like, the KHL is a lot weaker than it used to be maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago for various reasons we're not going to get into here. You never know when a guy like this shows that kind of potential. Those highlights, like you saw, he has that goal scoring ability, but hey, we'll just have to wait and see where he decides to sign. But Jesse, we got to talk about a guy who's already on the Montreal Canadiens, and that is Arber Xhekaj. And according to Dave Pagnotta of the Fourth Period, teams are still calling for him, and I guess it's no surprise. He's definitely a hot commodity. Everyone wants a guy like Xhekaj on the team, and in his recent article, which I will also link down below in the description, he goes on to say, as recent as this week, teams continue to ask the Montreal Canadiens about defenseman Arber Xhekaj, but Habs GM Kent Hughes keeps turning them away. Hughes isn't interested in moving the sturdy blue liner, but is open to moving some of his other young defensemen. And honestly, this comes as no surprise to us. We know Kent Hughes has, typically not wanted to move Arber Xhekaj. Apparently, they've been offered a first-round pick for him, an undrafted guy for a first-round pick, and they've said no. But I love this. I love that teams are still calling and Kent is still shutting them down. But also to hear that he's open to willing to move some other defensemen. It's just getting me excited for trade season. The fact that teams are calling, give me your player. And Kent is also like, hey, maybe you can take this guy or that guy. I mean, it just got me so hyped.
Yeah, Kent's definitely doing a great job of evaluating who we need on this team in the future. And it's wild to hear that so many GMs are calling on Arber Xhekaj, but it makes sense for all those different skills that he does have, right? But this article makes a great point of, should we kind of sell high on Arber Xhekaj because he had the 2 shoulder injuries? Maybe there might be some injury problems going forward. And I say absolutely not. And we would not be selling high on Arber Xhekaj at this point in this time. Why? Because he's only shown us half of what he is capable of in the NHL. He is still coming into his own. He still has so much of a great shot just to continue showing us improved defensive play. I just think he's just going to improve in leaps and bounds in all areas of his games. I think he's just really coming to his own. He had that benefit of playing with Savard, kind of upping his game. We're seeing the progression, right? And I believe that this is a player that has a lot more potential than even what he's showing right now. So I think we definitely need to keep just with that amazing skill set that he does have.
I think you're bang on the money there. I think what we've seen from Xhekaj is just a fraction of what we are going to see, right? With maturity, with time comes maturity, with experience comes better defense, comes a lot of great stuff. And when we're looking at Xhekaj and we're trying to evaluate him for the future, you see those positive attributes. You see a lot of things like that hard shot, his new ability to really skate in open ice and come up through the middle, something that we didn't see in his rookie season, right? And his ability to be a little more disciplined, which was something that a lot of people knocked him for early in his career. So there's a bunch of stuff that we could see. And again, one last thing, trial by fire with all the competition for that left-hand D-man spot, whether it's the second or third pairing or maybe even the 7th defenseman. He's going to have to show up if he wants to stay on this team. So there's a lot to come in the future, but hey, for now, we know he's going nowhere. Final thing though, Jesse, as a lot of the fans love to talk about, we got to talk about Juraj Slafkovsky, and oh boy, does he keep on rolling. Like the highlight reel I showed at the start of the video, we're going to play that again as Slovakia won 4-0 versus Poland. Now, Jesse, Slovakia in this game, well, they certainly... They didn't go all out for the whole game. That second period was a little questionable, a couple of weird penalties from Pavel Rienda, but hey, at the end of the day, Slafkovsky gets an assist there on that goal after a beautiful pass to Pospisil earlier in the game. Slav's up to 4 points in 4 games now. His team Slovakia, I believe, is second in their division. I could be mistaken, but regardless, they're up there with Latvia for that second place. It's awesome to see how good Team Slovakia is doing, especially after that heartbreaking loss earlier in the tournament to beat Team USA, to pummel Team Poland 4-0. Maybe they wanted some more goals, but how impressed have you been with Slav's overall play, despite the fact some of his line mates maybe aren't getting it done as much as you'd like?
I've been very impressed. And one of the things I would say that really impresses me the most, that leaves the biggest impression on me, is his aggression. Like, he's attacking the net. He is just really going for it this tournament. That's really amazing for me to see. And also just being a playmaker, right? And what's funny, when we think about a playmaker, like what goes into that, it's starting the play, which really creates it, right? And again, on the goal that he helped contribute to today, you see it's kind of missing from the clip a little bit, but what he does is he's able to retrieve the puck. First and foremost, we know that Slav is so good. If it comes down to kind of a board battle, he can win that, but also just with his anticipation, his size, his speed, he can just get those puck battles right away, retrieve the puck. He then, first thing, attacks the net, is able to shake off basically 2 Polish defenders, showing his strength again. Another thing we've seen, going hard to the paint, getting those shots off, right? And then when he's not doing that, when he's not kind of starting off the play just from the beginning, it's either also just through his playmaking, through great assists, where again, his vision today, setting up Pospisil for that, and just being creative with it as well, which I think is what the Montreal Canadiens really want to see. So it's just so great that he's really being a driving force. You realize he's a leader for this young team, and he's putting it all out on the table.
Exactly. He is driving so much of the play. And I know a lot of people, maybe people who don't follow the Habs or have not watched too many games of this World Hockey Championship, and we're not watching every single minute of every game either, but there's a lot of people who maybe just look at the points and they see 4 points in 4 games, not bad, but could be better, right? Like, where's the goal scoring? The thing is, Slafkovsky has been driving so many plays, and not all the time. It's not like he is a complete star every second he's out there. It's hard to imagine for a 20-year-old, but a lot of the time, Jesse, he's extremely noticeable, and the chances he's creating for his line mates are quite good. But from what I'm seeing, and from some of the consensus I'm seeing from some fans, though some may disagree, let me know what you guys think as well, but from what I'm seeing, like, it's just his line mates are not finishing that kind of stuff. He'll make a play where maybe Caufield or Suzuki would be there, right? But his line mates currently aren't. And some people are asking, hey, maybe can we see Slaf with Tatar? Could we maybe see Slaf a bit more with Pospisil? Could we see maybe some mix-ups in the lines just to generate a bit more offense, a bit more goal scoring? Albeit though, like Pospisil has had a fantastic tournament. Same with Tatar. I would love to see this before the end of the tournament, Jesse. What about you?
It's all about getting those reps in, right? And the more you kind of do it, what I want to see from Juraj Slafkovsky before the end of this tournament is what he's continuing to doing, and that's just taking ownership over the game. I feel like at many points this season, it's like he slowly started to realize how good he is. And wait, my team actually needs me to take ownership, to take this puck, to drive it to the net, not wait off other people's, not be passing the puck too much. Like, we know that Slav has a great shot, and I'm so happy in this tournament that he's using it. And by that, he's creating opportunities for his teammates, right? So that's the big thing, is we want to see him being aggressive and taking complete control over the game as only Slavzilla can do.
Oh, baby, Slavzilla. And he's doing it for sure for Team Slovakia, and I can't wait to see all this come to the Montreal Canadiens next season. But guys, we are super excited. I know you guys are too. Share that excitement down below for Team Slovakia and Slavzilla. We'd love to hear from you. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're approaching 12,500 subs. You guys are hitting sub like crazy. We love it. We are so appreciative of every single one of you. And don't forget, check out the articles that I linked down in the description. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.